We could dive into a little bit deeper of the idea of we've been talking a lot about values. Question your values, guys. Like, question your values often, because you got to remember, like, more than likely you got your values from your parents and they got their values from their parents, and it kept going. And a lot of times value structures are based within religious structures, but not just religious structures, specifically like a church, like what church your grandpa grew up in and what church your mom went to, and then what church you went to, if you even went to a church. Like, so you got to really like think about, like, what do you actually believe? Because inside of the church, there's a lot of quarreling on different opinions and beliefs, just like within the disability community, there's a lot of opinions and quarreling, just like in the LGBTQ plus. P.S. Happy Pride, everyone. You know, like there's a lot of quarreling, and it's like no matter what you identify with or how you identify, it's very important to define your values. And you can very simply like just Google like values worksheet. I filled out a few values worksheets before, and basically it just what you value the most. Like, for example, I value like honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Like, those are 3 personal values that I like hold deep, right? Yeah. But I also have a lot of other values when it comes to like relationships, or when it comes to like business, or when it comes to friendships, or like whatever, you know. But you got to figure out whatever you figure out. And if you've never questioned your own values before, think about who taught me this, who said it was okay. When did they say it was okay? Like, I remember growing up thinking that men didn't cry and you were weak if you cried. So I made sure to not show emotions and to never cry. And I remember being in a therapy session and like talking to my counselor about that. And she's like, who told you that? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, who told you that? And I had to think back all the way. I was 8 years old. I had a bowl of chili and I was walking down some stairs to go to the basement to play like Xbox with my friends or something. They were upstairs watching like the Super Bowl, and you know, there's a big bowl of chili, and I tripped and I fell and I slipped, and the chili went all over the carpet, all over the floor. And I was 8, I was young. I started crying, and I remember the dad of the house came and helped me clean it up, and that's when he told me, he said, don't cry over little things. He's like, you only cry when you're actually really, really hurt or someone dies, but other than that, you don't cry. Men don't cry. And I had to think back, and I'm like, wow, I'm in my late 20s figuring out like it's okay to cry. Like, you have to literally question like when was I taught cussing is bad? When was I told that like cussing was a sin? Maybe if you grew up in a religious household. Yeah. When was I taught that like only bad people or immoral people or it's immoral to cuss? Like you have to question these things. Like, when was it? Who was it? How was it? Because we can look at your entire belief system, because your entire belief system is a combination of nature and nurture. It's a combination of who brought you up and how they brought you up, and a combination of the environment that you grew up in. So you got to literally like ask yourself these questions frequently and often. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure we didn't actually cuss on this particular segment, is so that you guys can listen and not be offended and run away. So hopefully by the time you reach this mark, you might be going, I never thought about that. Maybe I don't think cussing is bad. Maybe I just think it's bad because, you know, my mom told me it's bad, or like maybe I think it's bad.
Or you don't associate with people that cuss, or, you know, you're, you know, whatever. And I think it does go to be said, like, for example, Gary Vee, you were talking about him. He actually recently started putting stuff on LinkedIn and started beeping his cuss words, because he was like, I needed to, like, if I'm putting stuff on LinkedIn, I need to read the room and say, oh, these are all corporate people.
Corporate professionals,
I need to chill out on that. And I think that's kind of like what we did with our main channel, right?
Didn't he also open up like a second like kids Gary Vee channel that Jamie edits out all the cuss words? Like, I think he opened up
Jamie?
Or not Jamie, I'm sorry. D-Rock. Wow.
Maybe, I don't know.
All these assistants.
But either way, so I think probably, and also like, but he also is like on TikTok and he cusses and stuff like that too. And like, and a lot
TikTok
of teenagers
is for the kids,
know
baby, yeah.
TikTok. And another thing is like, for example, when Joe Rogan interviews Bernie Sanders, for example, I don't really remember him cussing a lot. I think it's probably because he realizes like Bernie Sanders is like a political candidate. He's kind of old. He'll probably be taken aback by if I'm like dropping the F-bomb every couple seconds.
And he's also hoping the people that are listening are also there to listen for a long time. And again, that's the thing that's kind of...
You got to read the room, and the thing is right. And like, for example, the one that we did with Aaron Lee, we didn't cuss because Aaron Lee said, hey, I want to share this with my friends. I'd appreciate if you guys don't cuss. So we didn't. And that was the thing. Like, I think a couple have slipped through.
Yeah.
But through an hour and a half, like, it wasn't, it didn't phase, it didn't phase anyone. But it was the, again, it goes back to like questioning like why it offends you and all that stuff. Erin Lee works at a church, like, you know, she wanted to share with a lot of people like that. So it was like, okay, let's be respectful. If that's the one thing that's going to deter people from listening to this, let's chill out. But we're definitely not going to like stop. We're not going to change up the way we're doing things right now.
Yeah, and an interesting,
based on that,
I guess, challenge is that you talk about reading the room.
Mm-hmm.
In our room, in this room right here, everyone's fine with it. And this podcast is mostly aimed and geared towards people like us, right? So if you combine, you know, me and AJ and you all together, we are a 22 to 31-year-old male who's into like technology and internet culture and, you know, like video games and fitness and music. It's like
all the music we listen to has cussing. Like it's
like this. If you're a person who doesn't look and act like us, that is listening to us, cool. Glad you're here. What's up? But like this is mostly targeted at
people that look like us,
the people that look and act like us,
and also like a lot of people in to bring it back to like disability and stuff. It's like people that have gone through some real. I feel like we can start cussing again. Some real shit.
Some real heavy dark shit for real.
Like if you had cancer or something, like I think you can probably handle a couple cuss words because you've had to like
if you've been
think
paralyzed,
about dying.
Yeah.
If you had like a traumatic incident and you're in a wheelchair, I think you can handle a couple of cuss words. I don't think you're very fragile. And I think
dark humor is how a lot of people cope.
Totally. And I think a lot of people, especially wheelchair users and stuff, like they typically are a little bit rough around the edges. Like a lot of people that we meet are like a little bit, but that gives them character. Like they're maybe a little bit crazy or a little bit like
they're a little bit grimy.
And a lot of people that like get injured doing some extreme sports or something like that.
Some rowdy shit.
It's like you don't think that those people were, you know, whatever. So it's just funny. It's like, yo,
so if you mean to tell me that you think that there's no cussing at the motocross track, you're fucked in the head.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you think that the guy with like tattoos in a wheelchair that's all jacked isn't gonna cuss. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you know what I mean? Like that guy is definitely gonna swear.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess to wrap things up, we're gonna keep fucking swearing.
But I hope by now we've given you basically 30 minutes cuss free. I hope if you're one of the people who's been giving us feedback about the cursing that you actually had a chance to listen all the way through. You understand our points, you understand our arguments, and maybe, just maybe, we've swayed your perspective and your opinions.
Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode, you can click right here. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can click right here. If you want to watch more clips, we got 2 more right over here.